Yeah, so if you have a question, please feel free to put into the comment, not comment, into the Q&A window, into the chat window. We'll take those maybe in the middle, and maybe we'll also keep answering those, or maybe keep it for the end. So for uh, in the last week, we've talked about the combination of our event propagation, where we said bubbles is going to be false and composed is also going to be false. And we have seen how easily we can basically go ahead and we are able to handle the event, we are able to send the information, we are able to get the information. So all these in whatever the manipulation that we wanted to have with the events, we are able to do it. So today, the very first propagation event that we are going to cover is bubbles equal to true and composed equal to false. So if you have seen, if you have noticed the previous configuration, the default configuration where we said bubbles is true and composed is bubbles is false and composed is false, we were only able to handle the event at the child component declaration itself, wherever the events we were calling. Now, if we really wanted to, there is a problem handling the event at the child component level. What is the problem? First, let me show you here. So we are currently handling the event here at a child component level itself. Now let's say that we are kind of calling this child components within the for loop. Okay, there is a template for each, and maybe we have 100, or we have 200, or maybe 10, 25, 50, this kind of records we have. So for every record, if you keep handling the event handler, it's going to have those many event handlers added behind the scene. Although we will only see one handler method, we will only see one keyword that we are calling within the for each, but it's going to behind the scene, it's going to add multiple handlers. Like if you have got 10 records, it's going to have 10 event handlers for that. Okay, so to get rid of this, what Salesforce says that, okay, if you really wanted to have a for loop, and within the for loop you wanted to maybe get rid of the number of handlers, so what you can do is you can use this combination where you say bubbles equal to true and composed equal to false. That means now your like whatever the event that was only accessible up to here in this child component will also be accessible here within the other HTML component. Within that, we are accessing our child component. In our case, we have got a division tag, so we would be able to, we have got a paragraph tag, and here we would be able to access that event. how we are going to access that is, let's make this modification on this child one component and add here. Okay, so we are getting on click, which says that handle child event, and the method itself is going to remain same. The information is getting logged into the console. Okay, and whatever the information we are sending from the child component. One thing that we will do is we are going to maybe change the method name, because click is really standard one, and in the paragraph we will see on click. So maybe I'll say on success. As we are using on success here, we will be changing that success. We will be changing the event name from our child component as well. So we're just changing it to the success. And this success method we are handling here in our child component on top of our paragraph. And we must need to have this paragraph, this child component within that paragraph. So now this component is going to fire the event. And as we are going to use bubbles as a true, this particular paragraph event would be able to handle. But currently, before we make any changes, currently, if you see the configuration is by default, that is set to false. We are trying to access the event over here that is on success. Let's see what happens. So we were using Aura application in order to display the outcome of all our LWC. And that is this is our component which we are using. Okay, now we are here. I'm going to maybe click on, like, just do the right click, open the inspect element so that you can see the outcome, and then let's fire the event. So if you fire the event, nothing is happening, right? The reason nothing is happening because if you see here in the child one, we have not added the event handler. We are trying to uh, get the event here on the top of that element. So wherever we are calling this child one method, we are calling within the paragraph. So we are trying to handle the event here. And by default, as we talked about, the configuration is bubbles false, composed false. It will not be able to handle the event. Now let's go ahead and make the changes. So where we will put this combination is, we are going to put here within the after the details. So we'll say bubbles equal to, it's going to be true, and composed is going to be false. This is our combination that we just talked about. So as we said, right, once we set to bubbles as a true, the event is going to like this event is going to immediately we'll be able to pass this header DOM, and it is going to come up over here. It will be able to bubble up from bottom to child, from bottom to parent, from bottom to top. Once we are done with the deployment, we are already done with the deployment. If you now, after refreshing, if you click on fire event, now you would be able to see that all the details about the events are coming up over here very easily. So we are easily able to access that event at our paragraph level. So as we talked about, if your component is being utilized within a for loop, within a template for each, we would always suggest to utilize this bubbles as a true, and then try to minimize the event handlers, the number of event handlers that we have. Any confusion, any questions so far? Okay, so I'll take this silence as no. Mayank, you're trying to say something?
Something understanding this is a thing like is it like we are trying to call the same method in the loop? So that thing I'm not understanding basically. Like I do understand like from paragraph, at paragraph level you are able to handle that particular event, but not that right. The use case I didn't got it, to be honest correctly.
Okay, yeah. So this is something like this. Let's say let's create a variables over here. Okay. These are these are the list of users. Maybe I'm going to have only 3 users, no attributes, nothing, just the 3 records within this users attribute. And then what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to say, okay, just use a template for each. For this users, okay, for item is going to be user. And within this user, actually try to utilize this component. Sorry, within this for loop, try to utilize this component, as this component is the topmost element of your within for each. You have to provide the key element where you can say user.id. So now if you try to add this event handler over here, how many records you have in your user variable? That is basically total number of records that you have are 3. Okay. So what will happen? This on success event handler is going to be added behind the scene 3 times. Okay, because there are 3 different records, so this on success event handler is going to be added 3 times. So, and that is really going to I'll say impact your performance directly or indirectly. When I say behind the scene, so basically there is a method called add event listener. Okay, this method, it actually takes few things, like what is the event that we wanted to add. In our case, the event name we have given is success. Okay, and then it takes a function. What is a function? So you have to take a callback function basically. Okay, and it gives you maybe event, whatever the event parameter that it has, like this. So this add event listener method is being utilized behind the scene for adding the event listener for this on success, for this success event. So Salesforce will try to incorporate behind the scene that we cannot really see it. The LWC engine, the Salesforce itself take care about this. So this method is going to be executed as many as time your child component is getting added over here. So if this is the case and you have some success events or maybe some custom events that you're firing, it is always suggested or as a best practice, instead of using it over here, use the bubbles concept and then handle the event at the top of your element where your component is being your component is being basically utilized. So that way you would be able to minimize the number of event listeners. It's always going to be one, and it will also not impact your performance. So that's what I was talking about the use case. Is it clear now?
Yeah, basically like. So like basically we'll show that the child will show that particular button, right? So on click of that button, a event should fire. Right? So anyhow, that will fire like that is a if you use without that on success on this child component. If you use that whole thing, will this won't fire 3 times?
No. That's not the case. It's all about adding the event listener. So every time in every iteration, let me show you. This is how the case was. So this list has 3 records. That means your child component is going to be iterated 3 times. Your child component will get instantiated 3 times. Okay. So if you use on success event here, so this event listener, this method which is here, this is going to be executed 3 times. That means the event listener is getting added 3 times for the same event at the same component level. And that is going to impact the performance. Now, let me again deploy it. Because we are using this component within a for each, this component is going to be displayed 3 times in the screen. So if I refresh this now, you'll clearly see I've got 3 child components because that is where I had in the loop. I had in my in my UI components. Okay, if I click on fire events, I'm able to see twice because one is being handled here at the child component label and one is being handled here at the parent label. So basically, to kind of avoid adding multiple listeners, it's always best practice to avoid here at the component label. Just include at the top label where on top of your template for each, and then whatever the method that we talked about, right? This add event listener will only get execute once. Now here what is happening is this add event listener is basically executing 3 times because we have got 3 records. And now if I increase it to 30, your add event listener is going to be executed 30 times. Now, if you wanted to see this particular every item, every child component, right? You have 3 items. You clearly see in the HTML within the paragraph, there are 3 child components being generated, and each child component is going to have the unique ID behind the scene, the HTML ID, or you can consider any other unique identifier. And based on those unique identifiers, this add event listener is going to be executed. So just to kind of get rid of this multiple event listener that is getting added and impacting the performance, it is always best to have like this, where only one add event listener is going to be called, and it will not add any further event listener, and it's going to take care about which component is getting clicked and all those kind of things. It's going to be taken care by that. Is it clear now?
Yes.
Okay. One question is, this even applies to all 3 user records? Yes, that's what I was talking about. Not user records, not all 3 user records, 3 child components, because you are using 3 like you're using child component within the array. That is where this is kind of event is being not handled, I'll say event is being listened 3 times by the same component, and each component is listening the different event. although it looks like there is only one component in the UI when we are writing it, but behind the scene, as I explained, it is basically taking 3 add event listeners. So that's what the concept of this bubbles has a true and composed as a false is. Any further questions? Okay, so if no one has any other questions, this is the next type of configuration that we have, which says that bubbles is true and compose is true. That means both are true now. Now, this type of events are going to bubble up across the DOM and the shadow boundary. So far, we were only able to cross the shadow route, but now there is a possibility of crossing the shadow boundary and the DOM as well. So what could be the use case? Again, I would highly recommend that you should not use this concept. You should never use this combination until unless there is a definite requirement for this. Okay, you should always be using this concept if this combination, if this is if there is a need for this combination as well. But the next combination that we're talking about is bubble true and compose true. We should never be using this. Okay. Now there will not be any combination of bubbles true and composed false. Sorry, bubbles false and composed true. So what is the use case here? I'll just for every one of you to get the understanding of this kind of combination is, now let's say we have got a parent, we've got child. Okay. Now there is maybe a grandchild. Okay. So let me create another component and we will say grandparent. This is our parent component. And this parent component is basically doing nothing. It's kind of calling your parent one component. So now how the hierarchy looks like, if we kind of visualize this is how the hierarchy looks like. It has a grandparent, then we have parent, and then we have child. Okay. Basically, the child is firing an event. Currently, this parent is able to handle it with the help of our bubbles as a true. Now, there is a requirement that the same event should travel up here or should travel to grandparent. So how you can do that? Okay, so there are two ways. One way is to configure the event like bubbles is true and compose is true, and then handle the event here in the parent itself. So how you will handle it? Maybe I'm going to have another paragraph, and same way that we did here, we can handle the event at a paragraph level. Okay. Or what we can do is, the other one is we are handling the event here. We handle the event in the parent component, and then we fire another event from here, and this event will get handled by the grandparent. Okay, but we are going to more focus on this one. So to make that work, what we have to do is, now we have to make sure composed is also set to true, and let's deploy it. In case of parent one, the event that we are basically handling is the method is handle child event. This is the method. And this time I'm going to maybe add one more console, and we will say parent component. And let's do the copy and paste for the same method. And as we are handling in our grandparent, we are also going to and just change the method name that says that grandparent. Okay, that's what we are here. Okay, now we have to deploy this component, that is grandparent. Once we are done with the deployment, there is also one thing that we need to do is we need to now call our grandparent component in our Aura application. So you will see the outcome is really same like before, because we have not added any text or anything else in the grandparent. And if I click on fire event, so you will see this is Okay, this is where I think, okay, but you clearly see we're getting the grandparent component, and this is something, there is a console which is being, yeah, this is basically our parent component. The reason we don't see this console here because we have not actually deployed the parent component. So if we really wanted to see that console as well, which is the parent component, we would be able to see that as well there. So if we go ahead and refresh this page, and for the event, now you will see we are able to handle the event in the parent component, and we are also able to handle the event in the grandparent component. But there is a possibility, basically when we use this combination, right, which is bubbles true as compose true, this we really need to be very careful, because there is a possibility of security, like data leaking or security breach, because this grandparent, right, which is handling this event, is not actually directly related with the fire event component. There could be a possibility that this grandparent component should not be should not be accessing the data from the child component, whatever the child component is sending, or maybe there is a possibility that this grandparent should only access the certain amount of data, not all other, not the complete data that is being sent from the child component. So that's why what usually you should be doing is you should be using an ideal way, that is set the composed as false. Okay, so from the child component where you are trying to fire the event, that should the composed should be set to false, and then in your parent component you really have to fire the event. Okay, maybe the same name of the event is success. I'll just check it because I do a lot typos, and this could be success event. Now here what you can do is, maybe you wanted to only pass the account ID, and then just make that bubbles as a true and composed as false. So now what we are trying to do is, we are sending this, we are dispatching this event from our parent, from our child component, which where we are saying that only the parent component can access the data. And then parent component is again dispatching the same event with the same name, and only passing the account ID and saying that either the child component, which is again the this one, or the grandparent component can handle the event. Now, if you maybe try to deploy this, there is no need to change anything on the grandparent, because the name of our event is completely same. The method could be anything. And we are only sending the account ID. So we will be able to see account ID only, not the account name. Now, once we are done with the changes, let's go ahead and fire the event. You will see this is our parent component getting all the information up to here. And then this is the child component, which is only getting the account ID. So this is the ideal way that we should be doing whenever there is a need for sending the data from grandchild to the all the way to the grandparent. Any questions on that? Anyone else? Okay, so then comes, okay, this is basically what we have talked about. We just talked about, like there would be a parent component, there would be a grandparent component, there are child one, like child one or child component two is going to fire the event where parent is going to handle, then parent will fire the event and grandparent is going to handle. Now there is another combination, because we have got two variables, so there is always going to be 2 into 2 means 4 combination. So bubbles false composed false is supported, bubbles true composed false is supported, bubble true and composed true is also supported, but bubble false and composed false is bubbles false and composed true is not supported. This is not supported. So there may be a question where say that which combination of bubbles and composed is not supported. So basically this is the one where bubbles is false and composed is true. And now I will let you know the reason why it's not supported. So in order to go to the grandparent label right, the event must be able to access the the shadow root of the parent component, right? So this is the child component, this is the parent component, and every component has its own root and its own boundary. So by default, the event can only be accessed at the child component boundary label, the root label. But if we make the bubbles as true, the event can be found over here at the boundary of your parent component. But if we really wanted to access the event somewhere here within the grandchild, that bubbles must be set to true. That's why we are saying that if the bubbles is set to false, composed cannot be set to true. It will either be false. That's the only combination that is there. So that is the fourth combination which is not supported by the Lightning Web component currently. Okay. Now these are some of the questions that we have. So please go through with these ones, and then quickly maybe if we quickly go ahead, any questions that you have, you can feel free to come up with those questions. Anyone? This is really important concept, so I really want you guys to at least maybe come up with questions or something that you might have. Can we use PubSub? Can we use PubSub fire event method? So first of all, PubSub is not basically used for the related components. PubSub is mainly used for the unrelated components where you have maybe you have components which are not related with each other, but still you want them to receive the event, right? One component is firing an event and the other component is receiving the event. In that case, you can use PubSub, but now PubSub is also, I will say, very old methodology in Salesforce. Maybe it's a good practice outside of Salesforce technology. But in Salesforce, Salesforce has already came up with their own concept, which is Lightning Messaging Services, LMS. And LMS is really powerful, managed by Salesforce, so you really don't need to worry about the security and other things. So I would not suggest to use PubSub in any case, at least when you are working with Salesforce LWC. Question 4. What are the different phases of an event in an LWC? There are two phases only, capture and bubbles. We have talked about at the starting of our events scenarios, our events video. Bubbles and composed are the event phases. No, the phases are capture and bubble. Question 2 would be no, right? Can we send the event notification from parent to child? Yes, that's the answer is no. We cannot send event notification from parent to child. If we really want, then we have to use @API method to send the information, or maybe @API variable to send the information. So basically there is a interview question. I think that's not listed here. If I have to ask to all of you, maybe you can answer is, what are the different ways that I can send the data from parent to child component? You can just put your answer into the chat window. Public properties, public methods, getter and setter using @API, get and set, variable with @API, @var. No, @var is not a viable answer, not acceptable answer. So yeah, I think most of you have given correct answer. So the answer is like using public properties or maybe using public methods. So getter and setters are nothing, Sweta, these are the public properties itself. So those are, but you can say getters and setter, public properties and public methods. That is basically an acceptable answer. But if you might wanted to not mention getter and setters, that is also a good one. Basically, getter and setters are nothing. These are the public. These can basically consider as public property as well as public methods. Okay, so we have already talked about assignment. We have already talked about this assignment. Now there is, okay. Yeah, this one is basically these two assignments we have talked about. Now this is the next set of assignments that we need to talk about as per our plan. So this is basically nothing, the enhancement of the previous assignments. Okay, so first of all, you guys really did a good job on this assignment, displaying the list of records and then displaying the contact records as well. However, he went ahead in the time and then he implemented some table formatting, but that is still he really did a good job. So this is where we had got like we had a component where we will displaying all the records, only displaying the name and title, and then this is one thing that create a lightning web component to display the list of contact records. Okay, so basically this is nothing, a simple contact record display, and these are the details that you need to display within the contact details like name, title, email, and phone. Now, as part of the assignment for this session is like you have to create a third component which will have the above two components. Okay, above two components means this one, which is displaying the all contact records, this one which is displaying the contact information like this. And then when a user clicks on any of the contact record, it should fire the event and send back the contact ID. So now basically you will have a grandparent that is going to have, basically you will have a parent that's going to have two siblings, child 1 and child 2, where child 1 is displaying the list of all the contact records. Child 2 is responsible for displaying the contact record information. Now in any of the contact name, if you click on that, it should fire an event and send back the contact ID. Okay. Now then what you have to do is next, you have to find the correct contact record, and then contact detail component will display the contact information. Now what it is, I will just maybe because I have to cover few things in the events itself, so I will cover those few things and you will get this third point. Okay, if not, then we'll talk about that. So there are a couple of things because this is the next day agenda that we wanted to cover. So there are a few things that that I still need to let you know is, so maybe I'll get rid of this grandparent. Okay, and we'll create one another component. Maybe we will say, I'll say to-do list component. Okay, this is my component to-do list, and maybe I will have at the red track to-dos. This is an array. Okay, and then I will have a to-do. This is an object which has an ID attribute. That means by default it is one. Then it has a title attribute, and then it is as description. Okay, so these are the three attributes that I have got for a to-do. And then within my HTML, we will have a card, a lightning card. Title could be to-do list. Okay, a standard colon task. I really don't need this button. Let's change paragraph to division. And within this body, I'm going to use for each. Okay. So this is the syntax of for each that we have, and then you say this is the variable. We have got to do's. What is the item? It is to do, and index could be to do. Okay, and utilize the correct variables over here. So I'll say to do dot id title, and then we've got description. This is the one thing that we had. Okay. On top of this division tag, I'm going to have one more division. Basically, this is one of the assignments that I'm trying to complete here. We have given you some of the assignments. Out of one of the assignment was you need to create a form with have a button and then display the to-do list, right? So that assignment I'm going to trying to cover here. So first off, button is like text, label could be label is tagged, and name could be anything, maybe title. This is one input, and there is going to be another input, and then there will be a button. So another input is type of text. Instead of title, I'll set description. And let's have the button as well. Okay. So what was the requirement? That whatever the inputs that user is trying to put here and then click on add to do, those inputs should get displayed over here, right? So I'm going to, first of all, we will define a event handler that is on change, and we'll say handle title change. Okay. And then maybe handle description change. Let's define these methods. It's going to accept one parameter, and then there are 2-3 concepts that I would cover here in this example. So please pay attention. Okay. First thing that I'll do is I'll say event dot prevent default to prevent the default behavior. So for any confusion, anything else, I'm sorry, any confusion or question that you might have in your mind, or please feel free to ask. Okay. Yeah. So we've got, now what we used to do is usually we say let value equal to event dot target dot value, and similarly we say that even this is name, right? Maybe event dot target dot name. This is what we really do, right? So instead of writing, maybe if there are multiple things, right? You say maybe if there is a things called label, and you do like this. Similarly, you do for description change as well. So instead of writing these lines, multiple lines, what you can do is you can maybe create a variable called let and use curly braces and use these exact names here, maybe value, comma, you can say name, comma label. Okay. And what you can say equal. This is your object, like event or target. So you just need to say event or target, and then maybe get rid of this and save it. Now what this is known as object deconstructing. Object deconstruction in JavaScript. Okay. Now what actually I'm trying, I did here is what I did here is, let's say, let's come back here into the browser and let's create a variable called let user equal to, here I'm going to have few, maybe name, email, and I'll say is admin equal to false. Okay. These are the 3 attributes that I have within a object. If you see here, I've clearly got email, name, and admin. And if I have to get The email, so I really need to use user.email in order to get the email. And if I say user.isAdmin, it will give me if I'm admin user or not. Now, what if I need to get name, email, is admin? I know the name of my variable, but I really had to use the dot notation multiple times, right? So what JavaScript says that you can use the concept of object reconstruction, okay? Where what you have to do is use a variable, it could be const or it could be let, and just use the same name, whatever the key you has. So you can say name colon email colon is admin. Okay. And if you hit enter, and now if you try to print name, okay, you will see that there is. So now these are the variables that you have just created. Similarly, we have got event.target, right? That is giving us nothing. That is giving us an object. Okay, this is equivalent to an object. And what it does has, it has some attribute called value. It has some attribute called name. It has some attribute called label, or maybe required, right? So these are some of the attributes that it really does have. So you really need to, what you can really do is you can perform this way. You've got label, you've got name, you've got value. And these are all your variables that you have. And now you can just do the console.log and you can say value. And it will print the value. You really need not to do the dot notation multiple times in order to access the value. And you can do the same for your custom events that we talked about. Okay. And you can just go ahead and put it for both the events. Now this is the to do, right? ID, I'm going to maybe say to do ID by default. I'll say 1, and here I will use to do ID, maybe this dot to do ID. Okay. So what we are going to do here is, now this is a title, right? So what we will say, we'll say this dot to do dot title equal to value. And then similarly, we are going to say this dot to do dot description equal to value. Now, when the user clicks on handle click, so we really need to add the information in the to do's. So we'll say this dot to do's dot push, because we wanted to add a new entry, and what entry we want, this dot to do. And then we really wanted to say this dot to do ID equal to this dot to do ID plus 1. That means do the increment by 1, so that if for the first time, if the to do ID is 1, second time it's going to be 2, 3, like that. Okay. Now we're done with the deployment. Let's get back to our Aura application, make the changes. Once we make the changes, our application is going to be reloaded, and you can see here, right? We've got title and description. And maybe if I say Salesforce LWC, so you clearly see, right, all the components are being displayed over here. And then similarly, we'll say Salesforce LWC. So you will see that now the description part is being consoled. Okay. Now, if I go ahead and click on to do, you can see like the ID is one, Salesforce LWC, Salesforce LWC. Now, if I say only Salesforce, and if I say Salesforce integration, and if I click here and click on to do, so you can see here, I've got 2 items, but now the items is getting replaced. Maybe if I say Salesforce identity management, okay. And then if I click on to do, what's happening is basically it's replacing the object, so all the objects, right? The same array is going to have, like, the same item is replaced in the array. Now, why it is happening? This is like really, I think, important to know, everyone, that why it's happening is. So first of all, let's get rid of this console logs. This is not because of post. Anyone else want to guess it? Anyone else? Maybe Rohit, you want to give it a try? If you're speaking, Rohit, you're on mute. Nikhil, then that's not the part of push, but yeah, you did it somewhere, I'll say uh, right way, but that's not the actually reason that you just mentioned. Okay. Maybe Rohit is out of office, so I'll just explain it. So what happens here? In JavaScript, this is the object, right? And now what we are doing is we are pushing the object here in our array. So basically in JavaScript, each object is stored as a reference. Okay. Now what does that mean is there is a website called javascript.info. Okay. And maybe if you try to, this is really good website for learning the JavaScript. And the name is also, you can remember it, but I just put it in the chat window. Yes, Rohit, I was asking something to you. So
What was it, Amit? Stopped. Tell me again.
yeah, so basically here, if I change anything, basically, if I say IAM-1, right, like this. So what will happen if I click on if I click on to do, it's going to display the same. Like my list has 4 records, but now it's replacing the latest one, whatever it is. So what's the actual reason behind this? This is the code.
So it's adding in the same object. Now it's passed by reference. That means the actual entity would be getting changed, not creating a new one or something like that.
Yeah, true.
I'm like, you are changing in the actual object itself.
Yep, that's true. So basically,
So we will have to make a shadow copy of it.
yeah, so that's what I was basically telling. So if we go here, like this is the javascript.info website. If you go there and maybe search for object, so you'll see this objects is there, right? So I don't know if they have removed that that code. So basically what happens, every object is a pass by object reference. If I select user, so let's say here we've got this user, right? And if I say user, maybe let user1 equal to user, right? And now if I change user1, maybe if I say user1 dot name equal to Rohit. So if I print user1, you will see that name is Rohit, but if you print user, the name is also going to be Rohit. Because behind the scene JavaScript pass the reference of this, whatever the object it has. It actually does not pass the value, it actually pass the reference. So if you really wanted to, like if you really get these kind of situations, so what you have to do is you really have to, maybe there are a couple of ways to do this. So let's say if you are saying let user one equal to, I can say there is a class called object dot assign. Okay. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to clone the object. So what I have to do is this assign is going to take 2 parameter target and source. What is my target object? It is the blank object. And what is the source? User. Okay. Now if I enter user one, I will say name is Rohit. And maybe if I say user one dot name equal to, this time if I change it to Amit, and if I print user, you will see username is Rohit. It's like it's not changed, and user one is Amit. So this is the one way that you can use. The other one that Nikhil just put into the chat window is, that is basically First, convert the object into the string format with the help of json.stringify. Okay. And once your object is converted into a string, again convert the string into the object like this. User1. So that's what Rohit was saying, that he did it using a way. So here now, where we are pushing it, so what you can do is maybe you can say object.assign and your source object is nothing, your source object is this dot to do. Or you can use the other way. So we will see if this works. If not, then we will use the other way. And there is one more way that you can always do that. That is spread operator. You might see quite little like I'll say most of the time you will see that spread operator is being used. So I'll also showcase you that as well. So now we've got ABC, and this time I'm going to say ABC, and you can see here now. The ID is yet to get changed, but that's fine. Okay. Yes, that's the spread operator. So that is basically how you would be able to make it work whenever there is an object that you're referencing at multiple times. Now coming to the spread operator, that is basically nothing, which is like now this user one is object, user is also object, and you know that object actually denotes curly braces in the JavaScript. So use the curly braces, then they use 3 times dot and then put your variable name. So basically this is user is not defined. It's saying that means you have to define the user. So let's define the user first. And now let's use this user one. So basically this is also a way for cloning an object. And this spread operator can be used for your array of objects as well and for your objects. So like if you say, maybe if you have a users, right? Maybe let users, okay, you have users maybe 1, 2, and 3. So this users is an array of object. Now you wanted to clone this array of objects. So what you can do is you can say maybe user list equal to this. Now this is an array, right? Starting from a square bracket. So use opening and closing square brackets, and then again say 3 dots and then users. And if you say user list, you will get the clone, the replica of your 3 users that you have. And then you can do whatever you want with this list. This list is not going to be impacted anymore. And we will use this kind of like maybe object.assign, maybe json.parse, maybe spread operators in our coming videos as well, whenever we are working with the wire method. One last thing that I have is basically, and that is now let's try to make this I'm going to get rid of this to do. Okay, now let's try to make this title as anchor tag. Okay, I'll say href, I'll say hashtag, and this is my title, to do that title, and then I'm going to say on click, and I'll say handle to do click. Okay, this is what I have. Let's define this method, handle to click. This is event. So by default, I'm going to say event, like I'm going to prevent the default behavior. And now there is a catch here, right? So this particular item is basically within the li tag. Okay, this is within a li tag, list tag. I need to know, like let's say if I have like if I have these much records, and I need to know which index I have clicked, because these are basically nothing. These are index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that, right? I need to have which index they have clicked on, or maybe based on the ID. So if I have here, say, so this ID, okay, this is to do, and we are saying this dot to do ID equal to this dot to do ID plus 1. Okay, so this ID is not actually taking the, but that's fine. That's not actually needed for us. So what we can do is whenever we have a list of items and we wanted to click on any of the items and we wanted to know which item has been clicked. Maybe we wanted to know certain information, maybe title, description, or ID. We have 3 fields, right? So what you can do is you can use data, right? Data tags. You say data hyphen, this is our tag, data hyphen is our tag. And then you can say maybe to do hyphen title, okay? And then you say data hyphen description. There are 2 ways, that's why I'm showcasing you 2 ways, okay? For title here, we can dynamically bind like to do title. Similarly, for description, we can also dynamically bind. And this tag are not going to be displayed in the UI, okay? And then deploy it. Now, once someone clicks on this to do title, if you wanted to know the ID, now here you can pass the unique identifier as well. It could be record ID, it could be case number or something, okay? Now, this is what we've got. So let's say now we wanted to access these elements. So how we can access these elements? So to access these elements, what we have to do is now here we are using LI, right? So what we have to do is we have to, in the to do click, what we have to do is we will say, okay, now we wanted to access data hyphen, okay, what we had is we had data hyphen and asterisk. It could be anything. It could be to do title, description, or anything. So what we had in event, it is like this event dot current target dot data set. What it actually gives you, it actually gives you the data hyphen asterisk. Now the yours data hyphen asterisk is going to be like this, data hyphen to do hyphen title, and then there is data hyphen description. So this is what we have got within data hyphen asterisk. Okay, so what we can do is we can assign in our data set. Now, if you wanted to access to do title, so how you will access is you will say maybe let to do title equal to, you can say even the data set dot. For accessing the description, this is really good. This is really easy because this is a single word. You have to say description like this. Okay. But if you need to access the to do title, now this to do title after data hyphen to do title are the 2 different words. Okay. So how you'll access it? Let's let maybe copy this, put it here. You will say to do title like this. Now your every word is basically we are breaking here, right? These 2 words are broken here. So basically these are the variables. If you remember, right, every variable should be within the kebab case that we talked about. Okay. Yes, data is a keyword. It's a predefined HTML HTML5 keyword. So that's basically we have to use data only, data hyphen. And then these are your variables name. So that's what we did here. Now you can always use this way that we talked about, right, for getting the information. So you can do that as well. And then maybe you can do a console.log and you can say description and then console.log and you can say to do title. And these are going to give you the description and title. And if you have something like maybe record ID, it's a data hyphen record hyphen ID, and you say to do.id. So you can also access record ID here with like this record.id. Sorry, record ID, because record and ID, both those are the 2 terms broken down with a hyphen. Now, if you go ahead and refresh this, and if I say Salesforce LWC, if I add it, and maybe now if I say Salesforce integration, add it, and then if I say Salesforce IAM and add it. Okay, these are the 3 items I've added. If I click on Salesforce integration, I see both are same. If I click on IAM, I see both are same. Maybe if I say, I just changed identity access management just to showcase you that we are getting the different information over here. So that's how you're going to get the information whenever there is a list of records which are being displayed. Now this record could be displayed in a various format, maybe in a tile, maybe in the date, in a tabular format, in some other format. The format could be same, but the logic is going to be same because these items are being displayed within a for each element, within this for each element. Okay. Now, one thing you might have noticed here, we have used event.currentTarget. And here we have used event.target. Okay. So now what's the difference between, it's a very minute difference, very minor differences. Whenever you are using any item within the for each, you should always refer event.target. The reason is that you should always refer event.currentTarget, because now you have got this li, and within that li you have got the element, the template on top of that. So what really happens is, like within li you have got this a, right? So this li is going to be event.target in case of for each. So this is going to be event.target. So if you say event.target, it's going to reference to the li parameter. And if you use event.currentTarget, then your a is going, the anchor tag is going to be referenced with event.currentTarget. But in case of your normal input, your current target and your target are going to be same. So this is one thing, one small change, minor difference between event.currentTarget and event.target. And once you've got this title and description, you can easily find out your to-do, which to-do you have selected, right? So what you can do is you can use a find method of your array. And it does return the record which you have find. Okay. How you can do is you can say arr:5nd. So this is the syntax. Iterable. This is going to be your array. It takes 3 parameters: index, item, and the complete array. And for our case, the item is only the item will work. So what we will say is, we'll say this dot to-dos dot find. This is to-do. You can change the name, anything, and you can return element where you say to-do dot title equal to-do title and to-do dot description equal whatever the description. So basically what we are trying to do is, instead of using a for each and use for loop and using the this condition, if the current to-do title equal to the title we clicked on, and then current to-do description is equal to the description we found, we are using the inbuilt array find method, and it is going to return a single record. So we'll say let selected to do equal to, so whatever the outcome, because we are returning something, so this is going to be the outcome, and then we can put a console.log here. Any questions so far?
Amit, can you again explain that event.target and current target? Because I thought target is the one that actually triggers the event, and current target is the one to which our event listener is on. And in our case, it's on both. Both are on same, right? So I was thinking both will point to the same thing.
No. So basically, when you have a iteration, basically the current target comes into the picture when you have iteration. Okay. So now this is your iteration, right? And within this iteration, you've got multiple, maybe you've got a anchor tag within this li, right? So if your event, if you're on click, on double click, on mouse over, whatever the event that you have added here, the event listener, right, in this anchor tag. So this is going to be the current target, and this is going to be the target, because this is the parent. So parent is always going to be target, and the child is going to be current target. But in case of a normal input, both are going to be same, because this is the only one input that we have. So the target or current target is going to be reference this lightning input tag. In case of iteration, the child one is like if we have the, maybe if we have something on click here, right, then the target and current target are going to reference your li.
In case li is clicked, otherwise even if the 8 entry tag is clicked, in that case it will be still current target and target only.
Yes.
I think I'll try to console.log some IDs and check, because I knew otherwise. Okay.
Yeah. You can check it. Okay. And now this is the way that you can find. Okay. Array methods are really powerful in JavaScript. So I would recommend, if you really don't know, I would recommend please go ahead, check out the array methods that are really powerful. So now if I say Salesforce LWC integration and then IAM, I'm going to click on the middle one, and you can see here the Salesforce integration is what we have got. If I click on IAM, you can see here this is our event, this is our to do. So array find method is really helpful. There are array for each, there are array filter, there is array find sum, there are array, I think some, then we have got there are, I think, more reduce. There is reduce, we have already talked about, right? So you would wanted to go ahead and check those. I also have a playlist here for JavaScript in sfdcpanther. So if you really go there, right, there is some array methods that I've talked about here. You see here, right, I've got array methods, array. These are the 3 videos that I've talked about the array methods. So you can go there and play around with the array methods, because we are going to use these methods very frequently. Okay. So now, is this third point of your assignment is clear to everyone? I'll put this assignment into the Slack channel. Or any questions that anyone have?
Amit, I was thinking, I'm like that pass by reference and pass by value is a very core concept, and nobody asked any questions on it. Maybe we should ask them if they actually understood it.
Yeah, I think we should.
Just one thing.
Yeah, before we go there, I would like to ask any questions on this assignment front.
Yes, sir. Like I understand that in the detail section we can pass from like value from the child component wherever we are firing, right, the event. So, but when we capture, right, that particular or handle that particular event in the parent one, so like how we set, right, because there also we must need, right, some sort of variable or something, right?
No, I didn't get your question.
Like suppose from the child I pass the ID, like under detail, like when I'm dispatching that particular event or creating on the detail, I pass one parameter, right, like contact ID. But then when that particular event need to be handled, right, in the parent component, there we must need, right, some sort of a variable.
Yes, you definitely need. If you wanted to store the information, you definitely need the variable.
Okay, like I'll go through this one more time.
Yeah, so basically, if you are passing some information from your child component and you wanted to store within a variable in your parent component, you need to create a variable to store that. But this case, you have 3 components. One is just keeping both those 2 components. Okay, one is keeping those 2 components, like the list and the detail. So your list is getting a list of records. Your detail is getting just displaying the records. But now the catch here is basically, that's why I have not mentioned that part. There is a catch here in the assignment that I want you all, because we have been working on this, you all to understand where the list, in which record the list is going to be there. What are the list of records that you're going to get? In which component you are going to store that list? Either the parent component, which is going to have both child components, or in the components where we are going to list all the records, or in the child component where you are going to display the records. So that's the catch here that I have not mentioned. And I think that's what your question was, where you are going to store that, right? The information and all those. So you have to store it somewhere. I'm not going to tell it, but yeah, I'll definitely tell if no one is able to complete this assignment. We are doing the console.log for the assignments. We should display the clicked information into the second chart. Yes, that's what you have to do. Yeah, the understanding is correct. So basically, instead of doing this way, you could have a variable here, maybe track selected to do, and then you can say this dot selected to do, and then now you have this variable, you can just display it over here. But now currently we are doing it with the help of only one component here, but you have to take the help of 2 or 3 components here. And the idea is to let you know, guys, the importance of reusability, how you're going to create the reusable components. Any further questions?